live view of the world with our team. Are we good here?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were good. We're sorting out the video end, folks, so hang with us. Our high budget. Sometimes the gremlins get in the way.
Internet problems here.
Internet connectivity. No big deal. We'll sort it out. Anyway, we're redundant here because if the video side isn't quite working, we have the rock-solid radio side. And in order to have good video, good internet TV, you got to have a rock-solid radio. And WNN in Boca 1470 is rock-solid. Big station, 50,000 horsepower. We got horsepower coming out of horsepower here. So, and what you can do to increase the redundancy is to get that little app for your Droids or iPhones, which says iHeart, H-E-A-R-T radio, and then just zoom in on WNN in South Florida, and it's so cool. You're listening to digital radio wherever you have an internet signal. Very slick. Well, today we have quite a bit. We have a very sophisticated presentation of, as I promised, of this kind of nebulous, unknown group, confusing group called the Muslim Brotherhood. We're hearing a lot about it in the past few weeks. We've heard a lot about it in the past year. And everyone watching, if people are actually watching, are they watching yet? Mm-hmm. They are. Let me see if that's actually happening. I'm off the air. It's showing me off air here. On air. There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to TrentoVision.tv on the 17th, Monday, 2012, Boca Raton, Florida, broadcasting on the internet to the world. Tell your friends to come on. Today we have a fascinating show. It's going to be, we're going to kick it up a couple of notches. We're going to present today and tomorrow an overview and a detailed analysis of this thing called the Muslim Brotherhood. So this is the kind of show where you kick back and pay attention because you're going to learn quite a bit. And what you're going to learn is essential to pulling that lever on November 6th, 2012. Because you're going to be selecting someone that must understand the essential components of the Brotherhood, where they came from, why they're here, what their goals are, why the hell the Middle East is exploding right now. The Brotherhood is behind all of this. Oh, no, wait. Some nitwits in California made a movie, and they're the ones that are causing the Middle East to explode. Just a quick note on that. Let me tell you something about Islamic theology. Islamic doctrine teaches, and the Muslim Brotherhood believes, that if you insult the Prophet, you must be killed. Because the Prophet is not only a religious leader for the afterlife, but he's an earthly leader, was an earthly leader, and will be an earthly leader, and runs a nation, the nation of Islam. So you can't be treacherous or not support completely the leader of your nation. Therefore, anyone who slanders or blasphemes the Prophet must be killed. But this is how it works in Islamic theology. It's very interesting. When the Judgment Day comes, Muslims believe, and this is by the best hadith out there, Bukhari, Muslims believe that Muslims will be going into hell, and Muhammad will come and be the intercessor. This is copied from Christianity, will be the intercessor for them and plead to Allah that the Muslims don't go to hell, that because of Muhammad, many of the Muslims who are supposed to go to hell are sent to paradise. And Allah will listen to Muhammad because he's the perfect man and let the Muslims not go to hell but go to paradise. That's what Muslims believe theologically, but practically, if they don't defend their prophet on earth in times like this where someone insults them, they believe that when they're at Judgment Day, Muhammad won't mention their name because they didn't defend him today to Allah at Judgment Day, and they'll be cast into hell. So the eternal destiny of Muslims is dependent upon burning the Middle East in retribution to somebody making a video in California. Well, Watch what we have for you today on the Muslim Brotherhood. And in the next 2 days, we'll put all these pieces together so you can clearly understand the insanity, complete insanity that is taking place right now in this world, in the Middle East, in the religion of Islam. A couple of quick points before we get into the material at hand. You got to see, we'll show you this tomorrow, you got to see Susan Rice, the ambassador to the UN, as she disagrees with the president of Libya. The president of Libya says, the attack in Benghazi that killed Christopher Stevens and 3 others was a coordinated attack by elements of Al-Qaeda and other foreign fighters. And she goes, no, it wasn't. Well, make believe you're Benjamin Netanyahu, and you have to trust U.S. intelligence. Oh, the Iranians won't have a bomb for several years. Tomorrow, we'll get into Susan Rice, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Iranians. We've got a little activity on Well Street, 400 South Well Street. Those of you who know something about Chicago, young guy by the name of Adel Daoud decided to blow up a bar at 400 South Well Street in the Loop in Chicago because he felt his calling was for jihad, and that if he would do that, he would go to paradise. And not too far from the federal court where he's appearing today, the bar he was going to blow up. More on that tomorrow. We have green on blue murders over the weekend, more Afghanis killing American forces, English forces. And there's a question, should we take Prince Harry out of the war theater because it's making it dangerous for the troops there? What the heck is this? We're in a war. The bad guys want to kill the good guys. We need to take people out. That is insanity. And another quick thought. If only a tiny number of the 1.3 billion Muslims are the extremists that are causing all the trouble, yet our foreign policy through the State Department is being dictated by this tiny percentage in many respects, ought not we view that tiny minority as the leading edge, the primary concern of Islam from a public policy point of view? We want to downplay the extremist threat, but we overplay trying to deal with them in our public policy. Maybe we should view Islam as being led by this extremist, which really is the dedicated true believers. Something to think about, more of that in the days to come. We also have tomorrow a very interesting guest from California who has sort of a, not a direct role with the movie Innocence of Muslims that's supposedly causing all this, but knows quite a bit about it. A friend of Steve Klein that we had on over the weekend. So we'll have this gentleman tomorrow, Skyped in live on our show at 2 o'clock East Coast time. Tune in for that. But right now, kiddies, we're going to school. Here's what we want to do. We want you now to, it's 14 after the hour. We got about 30 minutes of fascinating material for you. We want you to push everything aside. Get your cup of coffee there. Get ready. You're going to watch a 7-minute video, and the people listening at home, you'll listen to the soundtrack. We produced this video about a year ago, and it's just simply amazing, Mark, isn't it? That
exactly.
We made this stuff, and we have this foresight. You may see me coughing and falling down, but I'll get back up. My mother always taught me, get back up to fight another day. We had this foresight to create this material because we were the clarion voice yelling a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, hey folks, there's a storm brewing. The storm clouds are gathering. And we want to show you this piece. It's by our good friend John Guandolo. He's one of the co-authors of the Team B2 report, Sharia, the Threat to America, along with Frank Gaffney, who's done tremendous work on this issue, General Jerry Boykin, Jim Woolsey, Andy McCarthy, writing extensively his new book, Spring Fever. John Guandolo is a Marine, retired Marine, that went into the FBI, counterterrorism, wrote the Muslim Brotherhood manual for the FBI in counterterrorism.
The original one.
The original one. He was with the FBI for about 11 years, left a couple of years ago, and now he works as a consultant to three-letter agencies, to various groups. Everybody okay? Okay. Various groups. John Guandolo, nice Italian boy. And we asked him to succinctly put together a piece that gave an overview of the Brotherhood and some of the issues that we need to be looking at. And there is one piece in here where there's a video clip that's, you'll hear the voice of James Clapper. He is President Obama's Director of National Intelligence. So if you have the privilege of watching at home, the viewers, you'll see all of this, but the listeners don't lose anything because you're going to hear the audio track too. So Mark, let's play John Guandolo's clip, please.
Today, we face a dangerous and imminent threat from the global Islamic movement, which is waging total war against the West, a kinetic, economic, social, psychological, spiritual, and informational war. Our leadership neither knows nor understands this enemy, yet continues to commit American blood and treasure to the war effort that is unfocused and unending.
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements. Right. In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
Americans sense something is drastically wrong. They know our leadership is failing us, yet they can't quite frame this accurately. Americans recognize both the enemy's clear and resolute intentions and the weak response from our national leadership. A decade after 9/11, we have still not defined the enemy. And as Sun Tzu said, if you do not define the enemy, you cannot counter the enemy and you cannot defeat the enemy. When Americans do get a taste of the truth, they recognize a clear and present danger, and they ask themselves, how did we get here? How is this possible? Yes. How is this possible? How is it possible that nearly every major Muslim organization in the United States is hostile towards us, yet our government continues to reach out to these organizations and seek their counsel? How is it possible that the senior Islamic advisor to Presidents Clinton and Bush is now sitting in federal prison for 23 years because he was a senior al-Qaeda operative and a Hamas operative? How is it possible that nearly every jihadi who's come to the United States is a Muslim male between the ages of 18 and 35, and yet our TSA continues to pat down grandmothers, nuns, and 3-year-olds while leaving the likely threat of jihadis alone? We seem completely clueless, totally lost. It's as if we're in a football game. It's 5 minutes into the first quarter, they're winning 72-0, and we are wandering around the sidelines in a daze in hockey gear. The situation's desperate. Our enemy is well organized with thousands of Islamic support organizations. They're well funded primarily by Saudi Arabia. They have a strategic plan which they are executing, and they're gaining ground daily. The U.S. government has no coherent response. If the enemy is victorious in its pursuit to implement Sharia, to subordinate the U.S. Constitution to Islamic law and re-establish the global Islamic State, we will see the complete destruction of Western civilization as we know it. There is hope. We have developed a detailed strategy to defend this nation and counter the global Islamic movement. The solution's not at the national level. The solution is at the local level. The first and most important phase of this solution is a multi-tiered, nationwide education and training program focused on empowering individual Americans with understanding the true nature of the threat and thwarting the threat in the local community. Our organization is comprised of the leading experts in the nation on the enemy methodologies, structure, and doctrine, and friendly strategies and methodologies and campaigns to defeat the enemy. Our team includes men like former Director of Central Intelligence R. James Woolsey, former Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Lieutenant General Ed Soyster, and Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, the former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and the former commander of the U.S. Army's elite Delta Force. Our organization has been leading the counter-jihadi movement in the United States for several years and has opened the eyes of former directors of FBI, CIA, DIA, congressmen, senators, police chiefs, general officers, and many others, nearly all of whom have said they never heard this information until we provided it to them. By supporting our concrete plan, the only strategy developed in the West to thwart this enemy, you will be joining an elite team of American warriors leading the counterattack. We are defending Western civilization. The founders of this great republic risked everything to see that this idea of America became a reality. They risked their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Make no doubt about it, the threat we face today is just as great as the threat that our founders faced over 235 years ago. Many of us have sacrificed our jobs, our life savings, our individual dreams, and many more for the sake of this nation. We need your direct support in arming this new generation of patriots to fight this battle and save our way of life. As it was in Lepanto and as it was at the gates of Vienna, so it is now. We must sacrifice everything. We need everyone to sacrifice. Our enemy has unlimited resources while we have very little. We need you right now.
John Guandolo.
Now, that was done, believe it or not, a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago? Oh, boy.
And we've actually made bigger differences and changes, in Congress and stuff like that. But
yeah, John and some of his colleagues, Patrick Poole, another Team B2 writer. You got to get the book, ladies and gentlemen, Sharia, the Threat to America. Our team, these 19, are really the experts in this field, wrote about the Brotherhood, and this book is now a necessary handbook to understanding the Muslim Brotherhood. Why do you need to understand the Muslim Brotherhood? Because the president of the Muslim Brotherhood is going to have dinner with our president in the White House in about 2 weeks.
And you're being lied to.
Okay? Yeah. And some of us think this is similar to Neville Chamberlain coming back from visiting the Fuhrer saying, peace in our time. He signed this piece of paper. Well, does a signature on a paper override 1,400 years of Islamic doctrine? Ask yourselves that. So what we're doing on this show right now, we're dealing with national security issues on TrentoVision.tv here at about almost 25 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour on the East Coast. We're trying to put into perspective the importance of the next 50 days as it relates to national security of the United States, national security of the globe, but in particular the national security of that tiny little country in the middle of a sea of 330 million people that want to obliterate it, Israel. Okay, the Brotherhood is behind all of this. They're Sunnis, but they're coordinating with the Shia. We're bringing you in to understand at a deeper level who the Brotherhood are, what they believe, and why they want to do what they want to do. John Guandolo just gave you a brief overview, and then a little motivation that we need people to join in this battle. We need kinetic warriors that join the military to go fight the jihadis overseas with bombs and bullets. Some of them just have to be killed because they will do what they're doing in the Middle East right now, trying to kill Americans. Here in the United States, it's not the kinetic battle, it's the cultural battle. The jihadis overseas get on an airplane, land in New York, put on an Armani suit, and have the same objectives, goals, and timeline, but different tactics and methodologies. One is infiltration into effective institutions to change the institution so that they don't have to use bombs and bullets. That's where we fight. We fight at the cultural level. That's why we're exposing the totalitarian, the total element of Islam, Sharia-compliant Islam for you. Let me tell you what you're being told out there by the experts. The experts who refuse to see the Brotherhood as an imminent threat, not just an existential threat. You're being told that the Brotherhood is simply a secular organization. Maybe when they were started they had some religious views, but that's all changed. They're a political organization. They have rejected or eschewed violence. They don't chew on violence anymore. Let's just take a look at any news station right now, okay? Well, this is what you're being told, though. We're going to show you. They reject and decry that little group called the Al-Qaeda, the base. I was thinking the Arabic name for Al-Qaeda, the base. They reject those sort of tactics. We don't need to do that. This is what you're being told by this administration who is lying to you, by Susan Rice, who, when the president of Libya says it was Al-Qaeda, oh no, that just happened later. You're also being told that there's no overarching pursuit or desire for violence by the Brotherhood. In one sense, that's true. They prefer to beat us at our own game and come within our house and overturn our civilization, our miserable civilization, through their cultural jihad. I know this stuff sounds crazy. I got family members and friends go, Tom, you went off the deep end. But then I talked to John Guandolo and Patrick Poole and Steve Coughlin and Jerry Boykin and Frank Gaffney, and we go, I guess we all went off the deep end. All of us that spend our life doing this, and many of these people have dedicated their lives and shed their blood in many ways to fight this ideology. So I go, okay, my nitwit friends or true warriors? And it comes down to true warriors get it. And you got to get it, and you got to get it in 50 days and get it right in 50 days. One way to show that you can be very smart and very wrong is by listening to this next guy. I'm going to show you a 1-minute clip of the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. He was asked to testify about the Muslim Brotherhood to a congressional committee. Listen to this guy and say, okay, Trento, Clapper, who's making more sense?
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements. Right. In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried Al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam. But there is no overarching agenda, and particularly in pursuit of violence, at least internationally.
Mark, you want to say something about that?
It's just, Muslim Brotherhood is secular. Okay, doesn't just the term Muslim, I mean, on the face value, it's a completely idiotic statement. And what the thing about is, you see he's reading this from a set of prescribed, talking points from the administration. This is not something he just thought about coming up, airy-fairy out of his head.
No, that's a very, very good point. It's like saying the Christian Brotherhood is secular or the Jewish Brotherhood is secular. And particularly with Islam, which is so fundamentally theocratic and supremacist. But nevertheless, that was not some bum. That was Lafayette Park, and they said, hey, come on in, and we're going to take you up the hill to Congress, and you're going to do a little press conference. This is President Obama's number one man, Director of National Intelligence, and my colleagues at Team B2, the book Sharia the Threat, they make the point that if you are a sworn officer of the United States of America, whether in the military or one of these positions where you take an oath to protect all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to protect the Constitution, to defend the Constitution, once you do that, you no longer have the luxury of getting it wrong, folks, on national security. You have a professional obligation to understand the threat doctrine of the enemies who want to kill us. And to misstate the threat doctrine of the Muslim Brotherhood in such a horrendous way is a complete I'm going crazy.
It's like a cop going and not arresting a bank robber, and he says, "Well, I didn't know there was
robbing was wrong." You've failed at your primary mission of understanding who the enemy is. But this is not something foreign in this administration. And for my Democrat friends out there, and particularly my Jewish friends in South Florida, how in the world can you continue to support this president who has, by all estimations now, his policies are devastating the globe, as you see. And if you think a movie in California is the cause of all of this, then your head is so far in the sand that you're nothing sticking out of the sand. Wake up. Let me play another one if we can cue it up, Mark. I want to set this next video up. Now we're going to go from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles, and we're going to give you the pleasure of listening to a very intelligent gentleman by the name of Michael Downing. He's the deputy chief. Here's the chief of the Los Angeles Police Department. Michael Downing is the deputy chief.
Second largest police department in the nation.
Yeah, second largest police department next to New York. And Michael Downing's the second top guy in L.A.
Head of counterterrorism.
So he's one of the, of counterterrorism, he is the L.A. guy. Out of all of the police in the country, he's one of the most important people in the United States of America. And he happens to be in the same town where this goofy little video was made. Well, we visited Chief Downing about a year ago, and we asked him some questions about the Muslim Brotherhood. We asked him what he thought of it, and this is me interviewing Chief Michael Downing just about a year ago. Take a look at this and listen to what Michael Downing says.
Did you believe that the Brotherhood is a document about a civilization jihad and a desire to change life as we know it?
The original doctrine of the Brotherhood is, where it emanated from Egypt, but it's evolved and changed, just like, we evolve and change. There's different views about the Brotherhood. Albana, who created it, his idea is different than some of the people that are on the fringe of it here. Just like Republicans and Democrats are more conservative and more liberal, that's what we have here. But the message is not to demonize the Brotherhood here, but to create
not to demonize
the Brotherhood.
Oh, Michael, not to demonize the Brotherhood.
Yeah, they're just like Democrats and Republicans.
This was a year ago, and you would think, well, Tom, give the guy a break. I mean, it was a year ago. We didn't have all this nonsense going on. No one really knew. As I said earlier, ladies and gentlemen, when you're at the level that these individuals are, you're entrusted with the protection of our population. When you're entrusted with the health and welfare, when you're entrusted for national security issues in a city like Los Angeles that's already been the target of jihadis, you don't have the luxury of getting it wrong on where the threat is coming from. The Muslim Brotherhood should be declared a terrorist organization and should be viewed as an enemy. and it was interesting this week that President Obama last week couldn't quite understand anymore his good friends, the Brotherhood, whether they were allies or enemies, and that poor Jay Carney guy, his press secretary, he must go off to work every day going, oh my God, I gotta go back to work.
What else I gotta walk back today?
Yeah, oh my God, honey, I hope your nose doesn't start growing. Okay, honey, bye, Jay, bye, when he goes to work. That poor kid. I mean, he's got to make believe he's in another universe, lying about this stuff. And, but Michael Downing, Jay Carney, the administration, you don't have the obligation and the luxury of getting it wrong. You're supposed to know, and there's even federal law that holds you accountable if in this position you get it wrong, because you're not doing your job. They're not doing their job on national security when people like this get it wrong. And how do you get it right? I don't know. Google, okay? Go to a computer and Google Muslim Brotherhood fanatic, crazy people, jihadis. And you're going to see this next clip, which was about a year ago in Tahrir Square. Tahrir Square is that big area in Egypt. It's a big open park area with wonderful trees and a street lined with, vendors and all. I think Disney is going to bring a new amusement center to Tahrir Square in the near future, okay? Well, a year ago, there were a couple of extremists there sharing their feelings about their neighbors to the east, the Jewish people.
Well, actually, this guy's not an extremist. He's actually a Muslim cleric, a leading Muslim Brotherhood Muslim cleric.
Oh, he's a religious guy.
All depends on what day you talk to him, whether he's an extremist or not.
Okay.
Today, you'd be the judge of the club.
He's a religious guy, and you may not understand Arabic, but for those of you listening, for the viewers, you'll see the subtitles, and I'll tell you what it's about. Listen carefully.
خيبر خيبر يا يهود خيبر خيبر يا يهود جيش محمد هنا موجود جيش محمد هنا موجود خيبر خيبر يا يهود خيبر خيبر يا يهود جيش محمد هنا موجود جيش محمد هنا موجود اللهم ارزقنا شهادة في سبيله وقولوا معي إسلامية 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 خيبر خيبر.
Okay. What that was some Muslim folks joining together, and they're having a welcoming party for Jewish people who wanted to come, tourists coming to Egypt.
Open arms like they did with Kaibar.
Yeah, Kaibar, the Kaibar Express, and all the Mohammed and Allahu Akbars, nothing to do with it. Basically, what that was, and for you guys that are listening now, on WNN 1470 in South Florida, or even on the website listening. When you get a chance, our shows are archived on TrentoVision.tv. About an hour after each show, it's up there, and you can watch it. Rewatch this show because the visuals we're putting out are very, very important. This was during the Arab Spring, which now we said was going to be a joke and a failure and devastating for the globe, in particular Jewish people. We're seeing that. These Muslim believers, they're not extremists. Egypt, 90% of the people in Egypt, Pew polls, pre-Arab Spring Revolution over Mubarak and post, 90% want Sharia law being the fundamental law in the country, and of that 90%, about 80% want nothing but Sharia law. So this has always been a Sharia-compliant society, which is why Mubarak had to rule with an iron fist and suppress the stuff you're seeing happening now that President Morsi has to allow happen because they're his homies doing all of this. What was happening there was a call, the Kaibar, Khaybar. Kaibar is a war chant to Muslims to kill Jews, basically. And it goes back to 628 AD, when Muhammad attacked a little oasis a little bit north of Medina, where it was the last outpost for a group of Jewish people. Not many, maybe 1,000 or so, but they were doing what they do. They were conducting business. They had a commerce and education and all of that. And they were viewed as the last Jews in Muhammad's Islamic world. So they had to be dealt with. And there was a lightning swift raid by about 1,600 of Muhammad and 1,600 of his men. And it just took a little while, a couple of days, to defeat the remaining Jews in the oasis town of Khaybar, Khaybar. And historically, it's viewed as a perfect operation. Lightning strike, almost special operations type of deal, because the Jews were in four or five different forts within the encampment, and it was a lightning strike. They defeated the Jews, killed many of them, took their women, and then let them remain but become second-class citizens, or got them out of town. They either had to submit themselves or get out of Dodge. It's viewed as the model military operation to deal with the Jews. Last Arab Spring, February, in Tahrir Square, there was a call for that lightning strike against Israel. You're seeing it come to fruition right now, folks.
How many MSNBC reporters or CNN reporters actually have any reference to what these people are saying when they're chanting this?
Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. None. Okay, 0. All right. All that MSNBC believes is that Tom Trento is a jackass.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Keith Olbermann actually had the audacity to call me a jackass, on air. Well, I'm still here. Where's Keith? Who knows where he is? In any event. Now, big picture, folks. You're turning on your TV and you're repulsed by what you're seeing with our ambassador being dragged through the street and people being killed and our embassies.
Oh, you didn't explain the second part of what they were chanting in the streets up there. You talked about the Khaybar incident, but they were actually calling for the Islamia part of the chant. They were actually calling for the Nation of Islam to return return the world to the Islamic State. Mm-hmm. And return the jihad to the Islamic State. They're calling for jihad right there in the streets, and that's
very, very important. That the Jews are the number one target for Sharia-compliant Muslims. Mm-hmm. We know that, and the military operation at Khaybar is a methodology to go after the Jews, but the rallying call for Islam is to return to Sharia, because once you return to Sharia, you understand the proper role that jihad plays in global conquest. Now, welcome everybody to Science Fiction 101. That's what this stuff sounds like.
And sometimes. This was all going on during the time we were saying this is all a Muslim Brotherhood-led event, and the media was complete. And there's scores and scores of clips just like this out there that are saying the same thing.
For those who have eyes that don't see, they're never going to look at this stuff. Right. But even as I explain it now, Mark, it sounds like a weird, like we're in a studio or we're in a room trying to figure out how to make a really bad Hollywood B movie about crazy stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, check everything out that we're talking about. This is what's happening in the world.
How long have we been saying the Muslim world is going to blow up just like it did a week ago? We've been saying it for how long time?
For a long time, but when I saw that the capitulation, that surrender, all that was missing.
That was the key.
All that was missing on June 4th, 2009, when President Obama, I don't understand how anyone can think intelligently about voting for an individual that has put this globe in such an apocalyptic crisis. I don't understand the logic. Oh wait. Mitt Romney has too much money. He's worth $250 million. Okay, Mitt Romney has too much money, therefore we got to vote for Obama so the world can blow up. Folks, you've got to begin to start reasoning what's going on. Well, Mitt Romney, he put his dog on the roof of a car. Okay. We have a president that has truly brought the globe to the edge possibly of a catastrophic, if not apocalyptic moment. Do you think for 1 second any of the people that are attacking any of the 20 embassies in the world right now, if they had a thermonuclear device, let's say it was a backpack nuke, which do exist, folks, you think if anybody said, Mohammed, I bet you the guy's name would be Mohammed. Mohammed, put this on. What is it? You will blow up and kill many people. The guy in Chicago would have taken it. He had a stupid car bomb.
Exactly.
Folks, you give jihadis the option to carry nukes, guess what? There is no Social Security. There is no Obamacare. There's no globe. 4 years ago, we were trying to generate a debate on national security, and the economy of the world fell apart. That took precedent. Ironically, in a unique reversal of fortunes for Americans, today, where the economy was number one before the voters, it's now national security. National security is more important than the economic issues because there ain't no economy if you don't have a world. And this is what's happening. You get some nukes out there for the jihadis, 10 cities are going up, there is no America left. Oh my word. I want to show one more clip and then we'll take any calls. This is Tom Trento, Trento Vision, WNN 1470 in Boca. The number is 888-565-1470. But Mark, we're talking about Egypt and all those places 7,000 miles away. You got anything to show us that's a little closer?
This one's not going to need much translation. I think you'll get it right from the get-go.
Where is it? Where is it?
It's a town way far away from here. I can't remember what it is. It's where was it?
That Fort Lauderdale.
Fort
place.
Lauderdale. That's
Okay.
right. Man, millions of miles away.
Hey folks, this is a 1-minute video, and for the listening audience, you'll hear it very, very well. I don't have to translate Arabic for you. It's in English, okay? 1-minute video. It was shot not too long ago, a couple of years ago, and it was shot by yours truly. Myself and someone else stood amongst 300 jihadis on the corner of 3rd and Broward in Fort Lauderdale, and we filmed this little beauty. Take a look.
Moderate Muslims of Florida.
That was right across from the First Baptist Church in Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. And there's a metric out there, there's a theory out there, Mark, that says when the Islamic population of a nation reaches various percentages, there's a direct correlation to the increased violence of that population. And this is a didactic, measurable fact. The more Muslims you have in a society, the more violent that society becomes, because the net result of more jihadis within the Muslim population increases. And that's in America. There were 300 young Muslims, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah. They were calling for the nuking of Israel a couple of years ago. They were calling for bigger ovens for Jews to go into the ovens.
Send them back to the ovens. Yeah.
Send them back to the ovens. And they were calling for Israel to go to hell, basically. So we have a situation right now where the prime minister of a country that these people repudiate and hate has to make a decision whether or not to stop another country from acquiring the weapon that these people would like to see be used on Israel. But let's go to Ruth. Ruth, you on the line. You have you with Tom Trento, Mark Campbell on Trento Vision. How could we help you today?
How are you, Tom? Well, I was looking at a brochure which came from a mosque in this country, and actually it's being distributed in about 80% of the mosques in the United States. I just wanted to give you a few quotes from this literature that came from Pakistan. It says that the truth is that Islam is not the mission of a religion, nor is Muslim the title of a nation. In reality, Islam is a revolutionary ideology and program which seeks to alter the order of the whole world and rebuild it in conformity with its own tenets and ideals. It goes on to say, quote, Islam wishes to destroy all states and governments anywhere on the face of the earth which are opposed to the ideology and program of Islam, regardless of the country or the nation which rules it.
Well, Ruth, what is this again? State this again.
From a book, Jihad in Islam, by Saeed Abdul Allah Maududi.
Oh, Maududi.
This is being distributed in 80% of the mosques in the United States.
Yes.
And I happen to purchase this booklet from David Gabbett.
Yes, Dave Gabbett's friend of ours has gone into several hundred mosques, either overtly or covertly. He usually goes in overtly. He speaks Arabic, and he was involved in a very complex program with several of our friends, one of whom oversaw the program, David Yerushalmi, mapping Sharia. He's another Team B2 guy. That's why you got to get the book, Sharia, The Threat to America. Go to the United West website, theunitedwest.org. Bottom of the page, you can order Sharia, The Threat to America. Dave and David and others mapped the Sharia threat level in mosques around the United States. That was one of the books, Ruth, that would be taken and put in the pile of evidence that these folks have a greater agenda. What are your thoughts?
Their own words.
What are
their own words.
What are your thoughts about all of this stuff?
Pardon me?
What are your impressions of?
Well, it basically calls for revolution, a global revolution. They mention this specifically in their book. It's in their words. They do not intend to confine this to just one area. The revolution is to a single state or a few countries. The aim of Islam is to bring about a universal revolution.
Yeah, we got a couple of things going on.
Well, how many times we've been into mosques, Tom? And just a thought. I mean, I know I've been into lots of them. How much, every time we go into a mosque, we've never, not one time, not picked up a piece of radical material out in a mosque.
Yeah, for the viewers at home, they are seeing what we're doing. I lost my computer here.
No, we're fine.
Okay. Hey, Ruth, thanks for calling in. I'm going to let you go right now. If anybody wants to call in, 888-565-1470. I got room maybe for one more caller. But the United West, on that side of our work, right here is Trento Vision, the communication of a lot of stuff. But on the United West part, we go into mosques and other meetings that are run by jihadis. And let's lose this term extremists, okay? That's not the word. It's Islamic jihad or Muslim terrorists. That's what they are, okay? We go into a lot of their venues, whether it's a mosque, whether it's an interfaith meeting, whatever. Conferences. Myself and some others went to the Western Conference for the Muslim Student Association at UCLA not too long ago, and there was 4 or 5 of us, white people, with 800 Muslims, and we taped, Mark, I have to show you this, we taped Amir Malik Ali basically calling for revolution and giving the Muslim Brotherhood pledge motto, which we'll do tomorrow. But wherever you go, we walked around and picked up literature. If you go in the mosque, pick up literature, you'll find this stuff that's Sharia-compliant jihadi material. What does that mean? Here's what it means. It means that there is a particular worldview, there's a particular belief system that's endemic to Islam, and the argument, and it's violent, has a violent end to it, and you see it played out for 1,400 years. We're stumped, we the West are stumped by this, because we have a totally different frame of reference. We want to get along with everyone, and we have, particularly people in America, we have no desire of global conquest and colonizing people. That's all from another century, okay, another whatever. We just want to go to our jobs and do this. Well, these folks, in order to get to heaven, have a global conquest ideology that's out there, And when you come to the United States, it's simply part of the evangelism of Islam. It's called da'wah. Muslims come here, they have an obligation to plant themselves, to learn Sharia, to learn the ideology of the Brotherhood, and to move forward. That's what we're seeing happening. A thought, Mark, and then I'll kind of sum things up.
It's what you're being told and what's actually happening are two different things. I mean, when you go out there on the ground, you actually see it for yourself. You actually go to the different venues, you go to the different places. What you're seeing on TV is a completely different story than what you're seeing on the ground. And this is including not only from CNN, MSNBC, but Fox News also. How many times did you see that video played on Fox News or in any other piece, Tom?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a million-hitter video.
Well, Fox is very interesting because up until a few years ago, they were playing more of this. Mm-hmm. But ever since Prince Alawi Ben Talal,
the one that handed back the $10 million check, Rudy handed the $10 million check back and told him to go shove it, basically.
Yeah, Prince Alawi Ben Talal, Saudi prince. They have like 18 zillion Saudi princes, but he's one of the key guys. During 9/11, he gave Rudy Giuliani a $10 million check and said, it's for the city from Saudi Arabia, and all we want you to say is that your foreign policy played a role in this. And Giuliani told him to go take a walk. Yeah. He did. He took a walk from Lower Manhattan to Midtown, and he took that check and he went and bought a seat on the board of directors for News Corp. So Prince Alawi Ben Talal,
second largest holder of Fox News.
He has about 9%. He's on the board of Fox News. And once he came, Glenn Beck went bye-bye, and now you don't see Islamic Jihad as much on Fox News, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, you got to come to Trento Vision. We'll show you all about the jihad. We'll explain why national security is critical. That was weird.
I thought it was a train.
It's my phone ringing. I thought it was a tugboat coming down. In any event, we made it through. I'll be here. I'm healthy, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your prayers. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll continue with the Muslim Brotherhood. Tom Trento, Mark Campbell, the crew, saying adios from the worldwide studios in Boca Raton, Florida. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Your host, Tom Trento, is an activist street fighter with earned degrees in law enforcement, theology, and philosophy.